Good morning, everyone. It is so lovely to be here with you this morning. This morning, we are beginning our service with some music from Garret Kaplan. We have enjoyed Garret's piano playing before, and today we will hear two pieces from him. The first one is an etude in a pentatonic scale that he wrote himself. The relationship between two of his friends inspired him to create this piece because one has an outward and funny personality, while the other is more inward and sincere. Despite this, they have great chemistry with one another, and in this piece, you should hear each personality expressed. However, towards the end, they combine in a glorious blossoming of their love. Thank you for sharing this with us today, Garret. Thank you, Garret. That is such an interesting piece with so many layers to it. Today's service has a theme revolving around different F words. Let's begin our service with this F word, flame. As we gather here in this sacred space each Sunday morning, we light a chalice as a symbol of our shared light, warmth, and connection. I'd like to invite Mike and Suzanne Ludwig up to illuminate our chalice. These are the words of Reverend Scott Taylor. Notice now this flame, seemingly so singular, flickering, unfettered, dancing all alone. Yet pull back, look with more attentive eyes, and slowly the chalice cup comes into view, and the air, while unseen, keeps the flame alive. All of it a reminder that being lovingly surrounded and beautifully bound is what sets us free. May this be the gift of our precious hour. May we too pull back and see ourselves anew, how tenderly tethered we've become, and how wonderfully that has set us free. Thank you, Suzanne and Mike. Being lovingly surrounded and beautifully bound is what sets us free. What a powerful statement. As we consider different F words today, let us focus on this one for our opening hymn, Freedom. I'd like to invite the song leaders up to help lead us in hymn number 153, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning, which can be found in the gray hymnal. We will be singing all 4 verses, and you will notice that some words are in italics for this hymn. If you consider yourself a more advanced and gifted singer, or maybe you're just feeling more adventurous, you are welcome to sing those parts. But for us more novice singers, myself included, we can just stick to the regular printed words. And Gary, if you wouldn't mind playing this once through so we can get a feel for the song and decide if we want to be adventurous or not. Please rise and body your spirit. Going back to our opening hymn this morning, let's keep our mind stayed on freedom while we hear our opening words, which come from Thomas Merton. There is something in the very nature of my freedom that inclines me to love, to do good, to dedicate myself to others. I have an instinct that tells me that I am less free when I am living for myself alone. The reason for this is that I cannot be completely independent. Since I am not self-sufficient, I depend on someone else for my fulfillment. My freedom is not fully free when left to itself. It becomes so when it is brought into the right relation with freedom of another. Come, let us worship together. I'd like to officially welcome you to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, or BBUUC. My name is Alyssa Halliday, and I am honored to be your worship leader today. As Unitarian Universalists, we strive to live our values aloud, not alone. Our open-minded, open-hearted spiritual communities help people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. Our path is guided by our shared values, which can be found on the back of your order of service. As we are all navigating through this wondrous journey of life, I am grateful that you have chosen to be here with us today. I'd like to acknowledge any guests or newcomers that came out to join us on this wonderful Sunday. If you are a new visitor, we warmly welcome you to our humble church. If anyone would like to learn more about our church or Unitarian Universalism, we invite you to check out all of the literature on our welcome table near the entryway. We also have regularly scheduled Learn About UU and Learn About BBUUC classes year-round. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask any of our members. Our services are each unique. Every Sunday, it feels different. So I encourage you to check out more than one Sunday. And speaking of next Sunday's service, we will be honoring Pride Month. This didn't get into the journey, so I wanted to make sure we highlighted it today since it wasn't in the journey. So please, we hope to see you next Sunday as we honor this important month, Pride Month. We also invite you to join us after the service for refreshments, including coffee, snacks, and conversation, which can be found at the back of the sanctuary. And since it's the first Sunday of the month, we celebrate all the June birthdays, so we have extra special snacks, which is always good. Each week, we read together our Congregational Covenant, which defines our promise of community with one another. You can find our covenant printed in your order of service, and I invite you to speak the words aloud together in unison. Please join me. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Please rise and body your spirit and join in singing our call to worship. The words are also printed in your order of service. That was lovely. Thank you, Garret. We take an offering each Sunday to give our material resources with generosity and gratitude. The act of giving is a symbolic reminder that giving is just as important as receiving, that sharing what we have is how we live out our value of generosity. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. You can find giving envelopes in the hymnals, or you can use the QR code in your order of service to donate, or go to the donate link on our website at bbuuc.org. Whether you choose to donate at this time or not, please participate in this ritual by passing the plate down your row and back to the next. After the offering is complete, please stand in body or spirit and sing our offertory hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. I'd like to invite our ushers for today, John Wrightington, our birthday boy, and Ted Clisby to come forward to accept the offering. The morning offering will be gratefully received.
Our sermon this morning comes from Pastor Joshua Berg, who is currently the settled minister of Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church in Rancho, Palos, Verdes, California. Only in California will you find a city named Rancho, Palos, Verdes. And that's the last joke you're going to hear from me. Pastor Berg was raised Jewish in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, as he admits, living 2 miles from what he calls the border of 8 Mile Road, translation, where the black families lived. It's had a major impact on his worldview. He writes, My parents were Detroiter expatriates, the city's Jewish neighborhoods long vacated, swept up in the wave of white flight to the escape of Red Lobster and Blockbuster, away from black people being redlined and blockbusted. So, Pastor Berg has a lot to say to us this morning, and a lot of us as Unitarian Universalists to consider. He begins. In my youth, from my vantage of privilege, it always felt great to accept that the U.S. is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Well, needless to say, I have since become quite disillusioned with this country. I do, however, maintain that we can strive to be a land of freedoms, but only if we are indeed the home of the brave of heart and of spirit. The F word, freedom, is never pure, but rather an ever-shifting point around which humankind oscillates, moving forward and back along a continuum between anarchy and authoritarianism. Further, the work to move that point into just the right place never ends. There are freedoms many enjoy, just as many others do not, and freedoms are forever gained and lost. As my awareness of the complexity of the idea of freedom came into greater focus, I also understand better how the price of that awareness, the price of knowledge, and especially the price of having freedoms at all, is indeed vigilance. Vigilance to catch myself when I choose to rest on laurels or evade responsibility. Vigilant courage to take essential risks. And in the coming years, I believe it will take a vigilance greater than I could have ever imagined to dispel lies with truth and undertake another F word, the fight to keep freedoms we have and enact the restorative justice necessary to reverse injustices, lest they continue to restrict all our freedoms. For revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival. Not my words. Those words were spoken in 1852 at the Ladies' Anti-Slavery Society of Rochester, New York, by the renowned American author, orator, statesman, abolitionist, and escaped slave, yes, Frederick Douglass. In his speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July?" The fact is, Douglass states, the distance between this platform on which he stood and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable. He spoke on the 5th of July because, as he reminded the crowd, the 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. And inconceivably, those words of one of our most important 19th century American ancestors talking truth to power about the fact of our country's dehumanizing his fellow African Americans, those words will be censored or banned altogether from school curriculum because they would hurt white people's feelings or make them look bad. That is unconscionable. Denial of history is just one tactic in the current drive by the right to implement policies that deny civil and human rights. Instead of being accountable for our honest history, sustaining the falsehoods of some insatiable, unattainable idea of freedom, or worse yet, pretending true freedom exists in the midst of significant subjugation, this consigns all of society to permanent bondage. How can we fight for freedom in the face of deception and move the point toward universal liberty? We must never stop claiming freedom is imperfectible while lifting up the realities of history, as painful as they are. So this month, as we explore our theme of living love through the practice of freedom, we lift up some of those realities. We acknowledge racism as one of many intersecting prejudices in this country. Throughout our history, the government of the U.S. has systematically and forcibly prevented African Americans access to resources and opportunities while facilitating easy access to the same for white people for hundreds of years. Not only does it continue to do so in more insidious ways, the repercussions of those generations of inequality resonate powerfully still. As a white person whose ancestors have cached privileges for years, my ability to, for instance, get a loan to buy a car or drive it without fearing arrest, that far outweighs the ability of my African American contemporary who has the additional burden of overcoming generations of injustice. And racism intersects with many other prejudices, including gender, identity, sexuality, class, and more. A tragic irony is that those in power to collude to restrict others' freedom don't understand that if they retain what they consider freedom by denying safety and freedom to others, they too are not truly free. With their assumed freedoms being tenuous at best, what follows is the country falling victim to a destructive desperation to hold on to them. The U.S. is currently dominated by many so desperate to hold on to power and wealth, they are willing to deceive and manipulate. They use means ranging from provoking another F word, fear, as well as anger and direct violence, to hiding like cowards behind illegitimate protections, which often masquerade as straightforwardly established law. In the face of this, how can we fight for freedom? Is living our UU values through love enough? Is it doing any good? People are rightfully frustrated, angry, fearful, despondent, confused, and having so many hard feelings as an administration who is the antithesis of our very core values. They've got control of our government. Those hard feelings lead to a questioning of, what good is it to love? What good is it to have hope? I regularly feel like shouting to the rafters, no, forget love. We need to focus on our value of justice, pure and simple. But the theologian Paul Tillich contends justice preserves only what love reunites. Justice, he states, is violated when another's power of being is rejected. Justice is the form in which and through which love performs its work. Not only that, but love is not always pacifism, and certainly never surrender, placation, or pandering. Love often must be tough. True love must feed the strength of defiance and resilience. True love for humanity motivates a long and hard-fought revolution. There is no more powerful fight and no more potent or lasting justice than that which is achieved through the strength of love. Now, while we absolutely need solutions that include specific, targeted, and radical action, without a baseline of much more potent, unflinching love, none of those specific solutions will be effective or achievable. Without love powering the engine, and especially when love is replaced by fear, the fight for freedom devolves into what we see happening: a compassionless, heartless, cowardly scramble to retain control, masquerading as a fight for freedom at the expense of true freedoms. The author Bell Hooks rightfully reminds us that only love can broaden concern to what is hurting the collective us. In her essay, Love as the Practice of Freedom, she goes on to explain that recognizing the incontestable humanity in each other, loving each other, requires giving up individual comfort and privilege. With all due respect to Bell Hooks, giving up comfort seems not a strong enough phrase. It will require confronting violent oppression head on, as many have always been forced to do because of this country's foundation in white supremacy culture, and as we all must do ever more powerfully going forward past tomorrow. The reality we're confronting now is that as radical love for humanity drives us to poke the bear more and harder, we have been and are going to be experiencing more of a desperately violent reactionary response, and likely for a long time to come. The struggle to kill or tame the bear that is hatred and fear will see many hurt and killed. But the good news is, witnessing more reactionary violence means more people are taking action to fight for freedoms. Take heart that many are loving bravely. Langston Hughes cautions in his poem Freedom that freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever through compromise and fear. So we must not be afraid. Now, inherent in that statement, and in what I've said so far, is another F word: faith. Now, this faith is not of a traditionally religious nature. It is faith in humanity's ability to overcome. I tend toward rationalism, and so I have faith in what I can observe, using factual evidence to come to a conclusion. The rational facts are that ancestors have achieved more freedoms while surmounting incredibly high obstacles. The fact is that I have personally witnessed successes along the way to even more. When we sit at home cursing at the inconceivable wrong-minded thinking of so many, look to the many stories of people fighting and moving from that type of fear to freedom, of radical change that has and is made and sustained by loving communities of like-minded individuals with faith in themselves and others. The faith I am referring to is faith in the power and ability to love sufficiently to effect change that is progressive and revolutionary enough to sustain a society that has hit a giant roadblock but ultimately is ever moving forward toward more and equal freedoms. Joining together in great numbers with love, I have faith that we can succeed. And when we leave here today, as that faith fades toward unattainability, and it will, let's recall Bell Hook's words that once we choose love, we instinctively possess the inner resources to confront that pain. She reassures us that moving through the pain to the other side, we find the joy, the freedom of spirit that a love ethic brings. So right now, as reactionary conservatives believe white people are under attack and fear a loss of control when there is an honest accounting of our country's racial history, MLK Jr.'s words, Frederick Douglass's words, Langston Hughes's words, Bell Hook's words are censored or banned completely. Just think about that for a moment. The thoughts, admonishments, and teachings of our most important American ancestors of freedom and the power of love will not be taught to America's youth because, as I said, it would hurt white people's feelings or make them look bad, and this is unconscionable. People ask me what action they can take. Well, that's one. Never stop lifting up their words. Given where we are, what else can we do? What does loving radically look like? We need to keep taking action towards justice together in community with like-minded people. We need to support revolutionary people and organizations. We need to do these things in spite of risk, allowing our fear to fuel our love. We need to shout to the rafters, as long as our fellow humans are held hostage and exploited by a capitalism that privileges the few over the many, we are not truly a free country. As long as the powerful and the power-drunk can hold the country hostage with lies, deception, and fear-mongering to protect their wealth and dominion and assuage their irrational, bigoted fears, we are not truly a free country. As long as our transgender loved ones, our immigrant loved ones, our indigenous American loved ones, our loved ones of color, all our loved ones who are marginalized, othered, and dehumanized, as long as they are threatened and killed, we are not a free country. And as long as we remain unaccountable for our nation's crimes and continue to commit them, we are not a free country. And as we shout and fight, we also need to be kind to ourselves by being aware that we will need time to rest, by not feeling guilty about protecting our mental and physical health, by not criticizing ourselves if something we try doesn't work right away, or if we lose focus. It's impossible to direct our righteous love toward fixing what is harming society when anger is self-directed. Finally, we have to understand that there is no one right action or correct way, and how we move from fear to freedom with faith must be continually reevaluated. I have hope for America, not because we are the land of the free, but because I regularly witness brave people I respect and love striving against great odds to move from fear to freedom with faith. Faith in humanity's ability to love. Frederick Douglass referenced Isaiah 59 to the crowd before which he spoke in 1852, reassuring them that the arm of the Lord is not shortened and the doom of slavery is certain. Allow me to say, he concluded, notwithstanding the dark picture I have this day presented of the state of the nation, I do not despair of the country. I therefore leave off where I began, with hope. And allow me, Joshua, to conclude with this. The reach of love is all-embracing, and its strength is unremitting. If Frederick Douglass had hope, given the state of the nation in 1852, I can have hope today. I, therefore, leave off where I began, that we can strive to be a land of freedoms only if we are indeed the home of the brave of heart and the brave of spirit. Pastor Joshua Berg.
Thank you, David. Let us take this charge to gather our brave of heart and spirit as we sing our closing hymn together. I'd like to invite our song leaders back up to lead us in hymn number 116, On My Way, which can be found in the gray hymnal. We will be singing all 5 verses, and just like in our opening hymn, you'll notice some words in italics for this hymn as well. I will once again invite you to stick to the regular printed words unless you're feeling adventurous again. And Gary, if you could please play this once through so we can once again get a feel for this song and decide if we want to be adventurous or not. Please stand in body or spirit. Please remain standing for the benediction as we make our way to the Freedom Land. I'd like to invite our two lovebirds, Suzanne and Mike, back up, please, to extinguish the chalice as we hear these words by Maureen Killeran. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forward the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth. May it be so. Amen. Thank you for being with us today.